Hello, Lake Wales, and welcome to episode number 18 of The Mayor and the Manager. This is a podcast that's created by Providence Voice, which is the media ministry of High Point Church. And we created it for the citizens of Lake Wales so that you can become acquainted with the people that you elect and pay to serve you, and so that you can be kept aware of significant developments that are taking place in local government. And I am joined again here today by our city manager, James Slaton. James, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mayor.
I guess I should say, rather than welcome back, because we haven't produced a new episode for quite a while. You and I both have been traveling. Summer has flown right by. But even though we've been traveling and not recording, it's not like things haven't been busy in Lake Wales. In fact, it's been a pretty active season.
It has. Very busy summer.
We approved a bond issue for the new police annex over on Tillman and also for the new fire station. We're probably going to do episodes about that in the future, but real quick, you got anything you want to add about that? Or
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've got a police annex and expanding the police facilities. And we did the part of this bond was a reimbursement for the expansion of the Chalet Suzanne fire station to hold, additional personnel and apparatus. And then, we're going to be building the third fire station later this year. As a matter of fact, I think it may be going out for requests for proposals very soon.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that one. So that's exciting. It's good that those things are being done. Of course, the Chalet Suzanne fire station is right over by my house, so it was fun to watch that take place. And also completed the parking study, and we're looking at parking upgrades and improvements around the Peterson-Meyer building. That's all being done for the new Wales build. So all of those things will be part of future episodes. In fact, we may try and bring in our fire chief and our police chief again to talk about why that's exciting for them. But today, what we want to talk about in this episode is an exciting development. It is an economic development strategy for our city that's called the South Polk Pathways to Prosperity. And we just saw an interesting presentation about that. And I know you've been working on this for a while. So why don't you give us a quick overview of what that plan is, what its focus is, and how this all got started?
Sure. I think there's a little question that the level of industry here in South Polk County is pretty small, I think, right? Compared to, let's say, Lakeland or West Polk. And so a lot of the cities along the Highway 60, right? So Highway 60 is a major thoroughfare throughout East and West Florida. Yeah. And of course, Highway 27, north and south.
Right.
And so the Central Florida Planning Council really spearheaded this. And so they talked with us cities about, a unified economic development strategic plan, which really was a brilliant idea, so that we take a regional approach to economic development for kind of South and Southeast Polk County. And so collectively, the cities of Winter Haven, Lake Wales, Fort Meade, and Bartow partnered with the Planning Council to really try to set the table for further economic development, particularly along the Highway 60 corridor.
Yeah. So this is it. I remember the first time that this was mentioned as a possibility, and it seems like that's been at least a year ago that it first started to happen.
This has actually been going on for 2 years now.
Oh, man. Yeah, okay. I didn't realize that had been
2024.
quite that long. Yeah, okay. So what an interesting, I'm sure it's been done somewhere else, but I had not ever heard of it here. An interesting idea that 4 municipalities would work together. Let's come up with a coordinated regional plan. What really intrigued you about that as a city manager?
Well, I'll tell you, it was it's a great idea, great approach. But really what I saw was, so this was a $300,000 project. And the grant amount was $240,000. So our contribution toward this was $20,000. So for $20,000, I mean, we could leverage the resources of the other municipalities to get this done. So quite selfishly, it was a really efficient a way for us to get more economic development expertise here for Lake Wales.
Okay. So the impetus was, or the thought, I should say maybe the thing that we lacked that kind of moved us to get started on this was the the lack of industrial businesses, industrial development happening in the south and southeast part of our county. That's become a much bigger need, a much bigger concern. And I don't think that I'm talking out of school or saying anything that's surprising, in that we all know that, the citrus is struggling. There may be some glimmers of hope out there, but it's not going to be the engine that sustains us in the future. So this came about because everybody sees that, not just Lake Wales, but everybody.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a cooperative effort. And so the presentation was made. It was really good. And so let's why don't you share with us the 4 or 5 main, I guess, the strategic framework that they came back to us with, the 4 or 5 things that they said we have to focus on and concentrate on in the future here.
Yeah. So the key issues, and by the way, this took a couple of years. This was a really, really large study.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the scale.
Yeah.
We don't have the final report as of yet, the detailed report, but we do have the presentation, and we're expecting that detailed report very soon.
But the presentation was pretty thorough.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was pretty thorough, high level. And the good news is, truthfully, these are things that we have already been doing here in Lake Wales.
Right.
I love it. This happens quite a bit. We identify an issue. And then we just attack it. So we're really ahead of the curve. And quite honestly, one of the commissioners asked when we saw the presentation about the competition between cities, and of course we all work together, and we all like each other, and what's good for a neighbor city is good for us.
Sure,
for sure. However, I think the ability to actually execute and implement these recommendations are what's gonna set Lake Wales or any of the municipalities apart, municipalities from each other, quite honestly. So with that said, it was a 848 square mile study.
Yeah.
So think about that. And so they focused on portions of US 17, of course, Highway 60, which would be the longest stretch, and then, portions of Highway 27, South Highway 27. So all of the Highway 27 study area was in Lake Wales.
Yeah, as I'm looking at the highlight area, it starts just right on the south side of Lakeland and goes down to just a little south of Frostproof.
Yep.
So from north to south, and then from west to east, it begins again just to the west side of Lakeland and runs all the way to the east of Lake Wales. It looks like out to about Indian Lake Estates.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Pretty big study area.
Yeah.
So the key issues that, according to our consultants in the report, is the first one is preserving industrial land. So what does that mean?
Yeah, let's talk about that. Preserving industrial land.
So we could get really technical in government. Speak about it, but at the end of the day, what they're saying is, don't just put houses if you can help it.
Right.
Do what you can to keep, houses from being built everywhere.
Right.
That's essentially it. Set aside land. Now we can't do that as government without the buy-in from those landowners. We cannot force them to change their land use, but what we can do is coordinate and work with them. And, at the end of the day, they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
So if the landowners ask for, whether it be annexation or industrial zoning, then, of course, that's their right. And then we do it as government. And so we've done a really good job over the last few years working with landowners, to set aside, industrial land, quite honestly. We all know, and this is, though it is coming up, Lake Wales for years has been, and will bounce between, last and next to last in terms of the area median income in the entire county.
Yeah.
We're consistently 16th or 17th out of 17 municipalities, right? We might be, on a good year, maybe this last year, we were 15.
Yeah.
So that means a lot. I think anyone that has listened to all these episodes has heard my story. And I mean this, when I think about the area median income and we think about jobs, it's good for Lake Wales on a lot of levels. It's good in terms of just, diversifying the tax base and not putting all the burden on residential. Those are all good things.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, for me, I'm going to talk about this backpack program. Everything, this is what I envision when we're pushing for job growth and pushing to increase the area median income. It's so that people that live inside our city limits can really live a prosperous life and provide, they make a living wage and they can provide for their families. We've got all these kids that are being, backpacks of food sent home on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the day, for me, and I believe for all of you on the commission, I think about those families and those kids and being able to have the types of jobs that allow them to provide for their family's needs. Mm-hmm. And retirement, I'll tell you, and I don't mind saying this, neither one of my parents, they really didn't have a retirement, to speak of. And I know the struggles and the challenges that go along with that. So you bring an employer that can provide retirement and provide, high, good wages for people, then we really start to see their quality of life improve. And so at the end of the day, aside from all the taxes and the impact fees and all the financial benefits, at the end of the day, that's what economic development is about.
Yeah. Now we did a whole episode on our economic development strategy that we've put together here in the city of Lake Wales. And again, the line that that I use all the time is maximizing the benefits and minimizing the impacts of growth, because growth is not a negotiable right now. And as you were answering that question, you surfaced a couple of other things that we have to contend with in order to make that happen in Lake Wales. One is that housing the developments are coming. It's slowed a little bit, but it's still happening around here. And housing developments come in faster and easier, and the profit comes in quicker for private property owners, which is the second thing we have to deal with. Is you and I both, and I think this is a good thing, highly value private property rights.
Yes, sir.
I won't ever impinge upon the rights of a private property owner. So how do we work with a private property owner who has the opportunity for a quick, lucrative payday in front of them, for these developers that want to build subdivisions? How do we help them see the longer term benefit to the community of holding that land for industrial development that may be just as lucrative for them, but it may be longer, and it may, the delays that are there. So those are a couple of issues. And then obviously the third thing is we have to constantly be thinking way out in advance, not reactively, but proactively about this. So one example where we've done that in the last couple of years is proactively zoning along Hunt Brothers Road, the industrial corridor there. Those are not big plots, but they're significant. So building relationships with the major landowners and having an idea well in advance of what you want to do and trying to go and get them to buy in is a big part of all this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is a big part. I will say, the citrus growers here in Lake Wales, I mean, all the ones that we talk to are been here a long time, multi-generational families, and they, believe it or not, I mean, they actually care. Mm-hmm. They really care about this community and the people that live here. And so it's for those folks, it's not as hard of a sell, quite honestly, because they're invested, as they always have been. Yeah. And then, truthfully, at the end of the day, once we build the market and the demand is here for industrial, they can they can make a lot more money, quite honestly. Sure. Industrially zoned land is it's a lot more expensive than residentially zoned land if they can just be a little patient.
It's just, it's the ability and the willingness to hold out for that. Then now for the citizens' quality of life here, you mentioned obviously bringing in industrial employers are going to provide, better jobs, better careers, better financial security, but also closer to home. I mean, one of the ways that the housing development that we've experienced has impacted us is that a lot of these folks are buying houses in Lake Wales because the housing costs are still relatively low, but they're commuting to work, Lakeland, Tampa, Orlando. So the roads are just completely congested by this.
You nailed it.
So if we can if Bartow, if Fort Meade, if Frostproof can get land these industrial builders, we get more close to home jobs and maybe take some cars off the road.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at key issue 1. There's a lot to talk about just in that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's about not becoming a bedroom community, not relying only on a residential tax base, and setting aside. And there's again, there are more steps, but essentially setting aside land for industrial. When we say industrial, I just need to say that it's a very broad land use.
Yeah, well, give us some examples.
Well, industrial could be a manufacturing facility, anything from that, or it could even be, let's say, a distribution facility. It's not, I have to say that because it's just about any large scale type of business.
Yeah.
Warehousing. So when we say industrial, don't picture Detroit, and big smokestacks. Right. I just have to say that because people may walk away thinking that, but it's a broad range of large scale employers. Okay, for sure.
So again, you surfaced another issue that we talked at length about when the presentation was made, and that is the tax base.
Yes, sir.
We just did a whole episode about month and a half ago about this upcoming ballot issue of property taxes. Very well could go through, and that changes the way that local municipalities have to fund their budgets. So what kind of impact does this have on the tax base?
Man, that's a nuanced answer.
Okay.
So it's a nuanced answer. So at the end of the day, of course, because this property tax kind of reform that's being proposed that was not thoughtfully researched, impacts homesteaded properties. So that's going to be a revenue stream that's going to impact local government, the way we operate and how we fund our operation. So we'll become more and more reliant upon commercial business, quite honestly, for those taxes. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
The downside is if municipalities, so this is a broader global issue, but as municipalities, if they need to make up income, for example, and this is not what you're asking. I just have to say this for the listeners. Yeah. So if they increase their millage rates to make up some of that lost revenue, then it creates higher taxes for all industry, including small businesses, which I think may ultimately hurt us here in Florida.
Yes.
Because those costs will ultimately get passed along to the customers. I have concerns about it driving inflation here in Florida. I'm going down a rabbit hole here, so let me just answer really the question you're asking. I think I did, but yeah, we've got to.
You got to come up with something.
You got to come up with something, and diversifying our revenue streams with more commercial property industry is by far the best way to go because you get benefits beyond just the property taxes. You get all the local economic benefits of having the salaries and money circulating in your local economies.
Well, and the argument is fairly similar to the ones we've been making for the last years, all the years that I've been in local government, when people express their displeasure over the amount of housing development that's happening. Although, again, with private property rights, there's not a lot we can do about that. But one of the things that you can say is the historic homes in the city of Lake Wales, the long-established households carry a very, very small percentage of the tax burden of underwriting services for the city. So the new houses cover that. New houses make sure that we provide excellent services to our citizens. Okay, if that revenue stream now is cut, then you better be proactively developing some other, or the whole burden is going to fall somewhere else. Like you said, we're going to have to raise millage rates, or it's just going to become very, so municipalities that are not being very aggressive and proactive about their economic development are going to suffer.
There's no question. And again, we started even with this project 2 years ago.
Right.
The property taxes weren't even being discussed then. Yeah. But we already knew. I've worked here at the city through the recession, right? In the aughts, and I know the impacts. I know what happens when you rely too much on your residential tax base anyway.
Right.
So we've been making moves over the last couple of years in this direction. Anyway, so we're kind of we're a little further along, I think, than some of our neighbors. Not all. Some are light years beyond us. But we really started making moves a couple of years ago.
Well, it seems like, and this is purely anecdotal, so it could be completely inaccurate. But from just a purely observational standpoint, it seems like the northwest part of Polk County has really gotten out in front, and they've benefited from the industrial development. But that's what we learned from this report, is that southeast Polk County hasn't. We've got, so one of the first thing that we talked about was the need to preserve land.
Yep.
And then the next thing is start building and creating spec industrial space.
Yes.
So let's talk about where Lake Wales is, where southeast Polk County is, and why that's critical.
Okay. So this is another big one. So this is a little bit of an alarm. We when they did this study, we realized that over the last over 20 years, 22 years.
Yeah.
There has only been an additional 200,000 square feet of commercial or industrial space built here in Lake Wales.
Yeah. Which now you hear 200,000 and that sounds like a lot to some people, but give us an example of what's necessary. I'm sure you were headed that way anyhow.
Well, just to compare some of our neighbors that have added a couple of million.
Okay.
Over the last couple of years,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, over the last 20 years. That's significant. It's significant just that it's a barometer, I guess, or a measure of the economic growth of Lake Wales. So it's been 20 years of really not a lot of growth or activities, and that 200,000 square feet of in commercial or industrial are occupied. They're not spec buildings. They were existing businesses, right? That either built something or expanded. And so the spec building issue. First of all, let's kind of talk about what that is. So that's when a developer comes in and they build, let's say, office space and/or warehouse, not for a particular business, but they'll lease it out, to a business looking to locate to the area. And there's in this study. So this is the second thing in southeast Polk County. There's a real shortage of spec building space to move businesses into. We really have one. We're probably the worst off here in Lake Wales, quite honestly, certainly in South Polk, probably the entire county. So it's been tough. We get through, I see them. So whether it be from, through the state or even the Central Florida Development Council, all the leads from industry or small business. So we're talking, that maybe 1,500 square feet to 20,000 square foot range that are looking to either relocate to Polk County, or they're trying to expand their operations inside the county, or relocate inside the county. And we have to pass on them. We don't have those buildings to recommend, and they don't have buildings to lease. So we're losing a lot of economic development opportunities for small business here in Lake Wales because we don't have the spec building inventory.
Right.
And in fact, most of southeast Polk County doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Skip Alford was with us a few episodes back talking about economic development, and he mentioned that that's a big struggle that we face here. So hopefully this is the beginning of us getting on that and starting to proactively build out this kind of space. So only 200,000 square feet in the last 2 decades.
Yes.
And so some of that may be 20 years old.
Correct.
So part of our problem there too is if you build it 20 years ago, it may be completely inadequate for what we need now.
That's right.
Okay. So we've said we've got to begin to be aggressively set aside land and preserve it for industrial uses. We have to begin to build spec and industrial space. So we've taken some steps, at least from my recollection. Tell me and share with the citizens of Lake Wales some possible potential sites that have been set aside in Lake Wales for this kind of development.
Absolutely. So we have really three areas of Lake Wales that are going to be our job centers, right? For these large scale employers, whether it be spec buildings or manufacturing otherwise. And so those 3 areas are the Hunt Brothers Road corridor. It's already set up for that. Hunt Brothers has been operating their packing plant out there for a long, long time. There have been improvements to that roadway, traffic signal at Highway 27, and so so Hunt Brothers Road is one. And by the way, that we've worked with the Hunt family over the last year, and we've got several hundred acres that they've set aside for industrial opportunities, industrial zoning. But essentially, Hunt Brothers Road, Highway 60 West, in and around the airport, and then the Longleaf Business Park. So those are going to be our three, job growth centers.
Now let's talk about several hundred acres along Hunt Brothers Road. I remember when we changed the zoning on all of that, and then Longleaf has been, on Highway 27 South for a long time, and we're just beginning to see some action there. And then the big one is Highway 60 West.
Yes, sir.
We just approved the Stonehenge development last year. Was it Stonehenge? Stonebridge? Stonehenge is in England.
It is.
Stonebridge.
Ridge, I think. Stone Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Stonehenge is a great place to visit, but that's not where you want to build a factory. Okay.
They might get upset.
Yeah. I think we would have some real protests on our hands at that point. But that one was contentious.
It was,
but it was important. So talk about that one. Talk about the nature of that development, because I know that includes a lot of industrial space.
It does. So the Stone Ridge multi-use master plan development on Highway 60 West has, and can't remember the exact numbers, but I can tell you it's got a couple hundred acres at least of commercial along Highway 60, and then about several hundred acres, about 4 million square feet of industrial zoning, and then there are several hundred acres of residential to the south. But the reality is that plan can be changed, and if they're going to have to build the commercial and industrial first,
right?
Because it's on the northern end of that project, and that particular developer is interested in doing more industrial. So if the industrial picks up and takes off, then there's going to be more industrial out there. So it really could be a huge industrial complex.
Could be just incredibly huge.
It could be,
and it's now you as you're walking through that, the industrial development is to the north, which. Because we have utilities there.
Correct.
And the actual development. So that's critical, because one of the parts of this strategic thing is getting utilities to this land.
That's correct.
Well, great news for us is we've got
there.
it.
Yes.
And then by extending the utilities through the manufacturing or the industrial parts, you get to where you can service future residential if you need to.
Yes, absolutely.
But the master site plan can be, like you said, it's one of the things about that, it can be changed. But think about 4 million square feet. Yeah. That alone changes the destiny of Lake Wales.
Oh, absolutely. And some of our neighbor. I mean, it's going to change. It will impact the entire region.
Right. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of jobs in that area. Okay. Now, one of the things that's on here as a strategic priority is these things need to take advantage of existing airports. I know that's one reason Bartow and Lake Wales were on there. And of course, the Stone Ridge development is right out there by our airport. So talk about Lake Wales Airport and what's been happening out there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the airport. And if folks haven't been there over the last couple of years, I recommend, they go out there. The short of it is our airport had really been neglected in a lot of ways. I don't know that there was a desire for a lot of growth and economic development out at the airport. So we spent the last several years really building the foundation, setting the table like it seems like we keep doing.
Right.
And so, probably 10 years ago or so, we extended the runway by 1,400 feet. 5,400 feet. It's just over a mile long. We have the second longest. People don't realize that we have the second longest runway in Polk County. Yeah.
Now, just as an aside, I have a few people that attend the church here, and who are pilots. They've done it. They were both commercial pilots and private commercial, and they talk glowingly about the runways and the landing capacities at the airport. So
we do have the capacity. There has been a uptick in what we call operations counts, the activities out at the airport. But we've been, of course, we extended the runway. We've been building. There weren't taxiways, so we've really been focused on the fundamentals, building the taxiways, expanding the runway, we had to replace the fuel system out there, believe it or not, because it was so old and antiquated, and it could not, it just couldn't adequately fuel jets, for example. It just didn't have the capacity to do so. So we've been really focusing on the fundamentals, and we're there. I think we're largely there. The biggest piece out at the airport, and by the way, we have hundreds of acres of land in and around that airport, a lot of which is and can be industrial zoned. So the biggest, I'd say, roadblock for us, we've been working on trying to get grant funding or getting someone to pay for a second road out at the airport. The majority of the developable land is to the west of the airport, and you can't access it.
No.
And so the good news is, I think the Florida Department of Transportation is tired of us hounding them and our state legislature. And so DOT just told us this last year, if you'll stop asking and stop, trying to get other grants through other places, we'll fund it. So the good news is we have the FDOT is going to fund that road construction for us this upcoming year. We have the engineering design.
Great.
And then the following construction, and then it's going to open up the west side of the airport for economic development, and that's going to be a game changer. Yeah,
it that may be the space, and
the space.
I'm not like some economic development guru at all. Obviously, I'm a preacher, but the minute I came on the commission, I remember you and I going out there and visiting with our airport director, and just knowing that that's where the untapped gold mine for the city of Lake Wales
really is.
Yeah.
And the other airports here in the county, they're busy. They're just about at max capacity unless they look for more land to expand. And so, this has happened to us in a couple of different areas, but by really not doing nothing, for a long time, it's created some opportunities for us. So now, if someone's, that there's not a lot of room to go to these other airports, and there's nowhere to go but here.
Yeah.
At this point, if people want to, build out of airports, and there's been a lot of activity. So I'm not saying there hasn't been anything going on. If you go to the airport today, there are new businesses, new large hangars. So there's a lot of investment going on at the airport right now that I have not seen in my 20 plus years. Working for the city.
And I learned something because, I'm, again, not an aviation expert by any means. So I was always concerned that our airport was not towered. But I'm learning that that's not nearly so critical as it used to be. So,
it's not.
You may be able to speak more intelligently to that than I do. But I remember I just have been informed that that's not the game stopper that it used to be.
It's really not.
Yeah.
And so we don't have the operations counter, the traffic to warrant the control tower, but all that stuff, believe it or not, can be done and is done virtually.
Yeah.
Anymore. And so we've got what they call an uncontrolled airport, which the majority of the airports are uncontrolled, quite honestly.
Okay. So where did we go from here? Infrastructure readiness.
So the infrastructure readiness, and then we skipped over this emerging opportunities, which there's not a lot to discuss there. Yeah. So I'll just touch on it. So they recognize emerging opportunities, data centers being one. I'll say this for everyone to hear. We're really not interested in data centers here in Lake Wales. They are absolute resource hogs in terms of water and power consumption. They take a lot of land, and at the end of the day, if we have buildings here in Lake Wales, we want people in them working, right? Not computers,
right?
We're not.
Well, and I would say that that's not an anti-data center statement so much as trying to figure out what's best for this area.
That's exactly right. And that was, so the data centers were part of it. And so you just nailed it. So emerging opportunities, and it was really focusing on, the clean industry, light manufacturing, the types of things that are compatible.
Right. Sure.
Clean industry, things with Lake Wales. And we 100% agree with that. And then the next, really, the last most important one is the infrastructure readiness. And that's from from a utility standpoint.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one place where we've done pretty well around here. We extended utility lines way out beyond what a person would have done if they weren't thinking this way. So that does seem to be playing to our advantage right now.
Absolutely. So again, our three kind of job centers or industrial zones, if we want to call them that, we're going to be Highway 60 West. And we do have the water and sewer. City did that several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to go.
Yeah.
Longleaf Business Park, water and sewer, they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And power, I can't, forget power and broadband and all of those things. But those two sites are ready to go. Hunt Brothers Road is kind of the next one that needs some work. But we've got the water lines. What we don't have down Hunt Brothers just yet is the sewer. However, the engineering on that has been at 90% complete. So we should have construction docs soon, and then we'll be going out to bid and extending the sewer down Hunt Brothers Road. So I look forward to that happening, sometime in the next few months, couple of months. And then that place will be ready to go. Now, I do need to point out that, our city code requires if anyone develops within 1 mile of a public utility, and Hunt Brothers Road is, then the whoever's doing that development has to connect the utilities anyway at their cost.
Right.
But it's at their cost.
Yeah.
And then that becomes if let's say an industrial developer is trying to choose a site and they're looking at Lake Wales that doesn't have the utilities ready, even though they can build them or put them in, or they're looking at a site in Ocala that's ready to go, well, they're going to choose Ocala all day long.
Yes.
Because it's going to increase their cost by installing utilities, and it's going to increase their timeline, extend their time window in which to do their project. And so speed to market, as we know with the dealing with ADS at the time, it's the truth. These businesses want to be up and running as quickly as possible.
Yes.
So by us being proactive, getting those utilities in the ground ahead of time, this makes us a lot more attractive to industrial developers. So that's the last piece. So 2 of our 3 are ready, and I'll say the Hunt Brothers Road corridor is 50%. At this point. So there is some sewer out there, and it's not a roadblock at this point, but we're a lot better shape if we can go get those utilities in the ground. And of course, we have a great relationship with Duke Energy. And so, the power systems are good, and they're happy to work with us on whatever we need.
So it's kind of the same story. Exciting things happening. We feel like that we're right on the verge. We're doing the right things. We're getting the right pieces in place. These are critical, important decisions. A time and tide wait for no man and no city. So we're trying to make sure that Lake Wales is at the front of the line when these economic possibilities come our way. I think we're doing a good job on that. I know we've worked really hard to incentivize. This is just another piece of the puzzle, this study. Now we need to, getting the utilities in place, setting the land aside. So, boy, if we could just land 1 or 2, we know we're going to position the city of Lake Wales to be prosperous for a long time.
No question.
Okay, well, that's what it's about. Well, thank you, James. City of Lake Wales, be praying for our leadership and for this plan to come to fruition. We're very excited about it, and we look forward to talking to you again in our next episode.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Mayor and the Manager. The goal of this podcast is to keep you up to date on all that is happening in the great city of Lake Wales. To that end, we would love to take questions from you and take the time to answer them. So if you have any questions, just click on Submit a Question in the description above this podcast.